Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, I got a question asked on the channel, and a fella sent me an email, and he said, is homesteading the same thing as prepping? Well, I'm going to try and answer that. First off, the prepping you see on TV, there have been several channels. There's Homestead Rescue, there's Doomsday Preppers, there's all of that kind of stuff, and yeah. First off, I'm going to start off by saying what a homesteader is. A homesteader is a person who has a small piece of property. It doesn't matter if it's a half acre or 10 acres or 50 acres, okay? My homestead here is 8.75 acres. I say 9 acres all the time, but it's 8.75 acres by deed. So we have electricity. We also have a backup generator. We have city water, but we also have a water catchment system, and we have like a 36,000 gallon cistern up here on the hill that was here before we got here. It's not usable right now, but you could line it and use it if you need to. So we've got that. We grow about 1.5 acres of row crop garden, and this year I'm putting in 14 raised beds. I've got 10 of them in. I've got to do 4 more, but that's just, it's when you can get to it. I've got right at 3 acres of hay, okay, and then I've got a yard that I mow just like everybody else. We have 4 freezers in the basement. I want to put those freezers on solar, but they're not on solar right now, so I have a backup generator. Okay? A freezer, a deep freezer, all my freezers are chest freezers, and the reason they're chest freezers is we've got an upright freezer up here in the barn, but it was Crystal's mom's, and we just haven't found a use for it. The thing is heavy, and I can't get it in the basement by myself, and my boys would help me, but I just wasn't that interested. We had an upright freezer once, and I had friends with upright freezers, and it's easy for those babies to get stuck open and defrost, and that's an expensive thing to happen. So down in our basement, we've got 4 freezers, chest freezers, and 3 of them are relatively new, and 1 is and relatively modern, I should say. Okay, they use low wattage, they're low energy, but they're heavily insulated, and their compressors are high efficiency and low starting torque. So, but they run all the time about it. So we've got 4 of those, 3 of those, and then 1 older chest freezer that was my mom's. Mom's been dead. She died in 2005, so that's 19 years. Okay, it's coming up on close to the date of her death. So, yeah, we're right at 19 years that Mom's been gone, and she had the freezer 4 or 5 years. So that freezer's 24, 25 years old. So, yeah, it's not high efficiency. Okay, so I've got those freezers now. I've got solar panels to hook up that I want to put those freezers on, but I haven't got there yet. We have been gardening the way I garden for ever since I was a kid, 8 years old, I guess. Back when I was born in 1963, so that tells you I'm 61. Back when I was born, I was about 6 months old, and Mom and Dad had to leave Appalachia because there just wasn't enough work. Dad was working, he was driving a coal truck, and he would get up at 4:30 in the morning, or 3:30 in the morning, so that he could be the first in line at the coal tipple for them to drop him a load of coal so he could get one extra load a day. And there was three boys. Mom and Dad had 3 boys. I was the baby. And Mom said back then they were starving to death. Okay, they didn't make enough money to keep food on the table. She didn't have enough money to wrap Dad's sandwich in anything but a towel, a dish towel. She had some old dish towels that she used to wrap his sandwiches in to go in his lunch bucket, which was a lard bucket. They had a lard bucket for a lunch bucket, big one of those plastic red lard buckets. Do you remember those? Any of you old timers out there? Anyway, so they weren't making enough money to survive, so they went to Detroit, Michigan. Dad got a job welding and doing maintenance. He worked for American Motors for a little while, and then he worked for a company called Ferndale Fastener. They made bolts and stuff, and he made a pretty good living out there. But like most of the folks from Appalachia, hillbillies, if you want to call them that, some people use that as a derogatory term. I wear it as a badge of honor. But they came back down the hillbilly highway, Interstate 75, and went back into Harlan County in 1971. I was 8 or 9, and we went back to gardening, homesteading, okay, taking care of our grandparents. That was what we did. Dad came back, went in the coal mines, and coal mining was had a little boom going on. Coal mining's always been boom and bust. Either everybody's working or nobody's working. Okay, that's the way coal mining works. It always worked in Appalachia. You'd have these boom times when everybody could get a job, and then coal prices would drop, and then boom, nobody got a job. You know, you either worked no days a week, 1 day a week, or 7 days a week. There was no in between. That was just the way it was. And so we went back in 1971, and we homesteaded, which means, for me, homesteading, I call it living an Appalachian lifestyle. A homesteader has a piece of property where they raise as much food as they can and try and get to be as self-sustainable as they can on the property. There's no such thing as being self-sustainable. Let me say that again. There's no such thing as being self-sustainable. You just want to get that out of your head. All right. So that's what a homesteader is. They might raise chickens, they might raise goats and sheep and all these different things. In Appalachia, every homesteader raised pigs, chickens, some of them raised turkeys, some of them raised goats, and some sheep. Okay, guineas were a favorite too, especially for bacon. All homesteaders hunt. Okay, I squirrel hunted, I trapped, I did all that stuff. All right, but if everybody lived that lifestyle, there'd be no wild game. All right, I'll not go into that right now. It's part of why actual doomsday prepping, those people will be dangerous when it comes down to it, because they'll be coming to you to take what you have. All right. Now let's talk about what preppers are. To me, I consider myself a prepper and a homesteader, but I'm not a doomsday prepper. Okay? Why do I say it that way? Well, let's draw a distinction here. Doomsday preppers assume that society is going to end, whether it's a volcano blowing up, a nuclear winter, planet run wild from climate change, or any number of things, civil unrest, any number of things that doomsday preppers prep for. And there are doomsday preppers, but most of them aren't as crazy as they show you on the TV shows, okay? Most of them are fairly decent people. Some of them will be dangerous when things go down. During COVID, we saw preppers melt down. Okay? And they wound up marching in the streets of our capitals with their guns out. Okay? They couldn't last a week on their preps. So they were marching in the street with their guns out. That's kind of an oxymoron. I'm a prepper, but I can't last a week if something happens like a pandemic. Yeah, let you know what kind of preppers they are and why you should be prepared for them if something goes wrong. They're going to be dangerous. Okay? Yeah, they're going to be dangerous. So, a doomsday prepper has to have a philosophy that society is going to end. Most of them see themselves as single lone wolf entities or just their family core. Let me tell you something. When it comes right down to it, preppers have been prepping for a long time for things that they say was going to happen imminently. Okay? I've said things are going to happen imminently. You wouldn't believe the number of preppers that have their stuff for sale on Facebook Marketplace because what they thought was imminently going to happen didn't materialize. There's tons of them. Tons of them, tons of them. Okay? They're 25 years worth of food that nobody would probably eat. Is sold on eBay and on Facebook Marketplace for damn near nothing. So, let's just face it. Some people get into prepping because it's not what they see it as something that it's not. And some of them get into prepping because they just like to buy shit. They're just that way. They like to buy crap, and that's what they do. Okay? And then they say, well, we're prepping. We bought all this camo stuff, and we're doing this and doing that. And yeah. Okay. Okay. Y'all are okay. I'm happy for you. I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, a homesteader, on the other hand, can't assume that society is going to collapse. Why? Because we know we need each other. We know we need to trade seeds. We know we need to come up with fertilizers of some kind. Okay? Creating your own fertilizer on your own property. Everybody goes, well, you can compost, and this compost is 0.5, 0.5, 0.5 fertilizer. Okay? How was it created? It was created with diesel because you took your diesel tractor and you scooped it and turned the pile regularly. If you had to turn the pile by hand, it would be a totally different proposition making fertilizer. Okay? Let's talk about the old timers. The people who lived out on the prairie, were they self-sufficient? Everybody thinks, well, we can live like the folks on the prairie. They bought seed, they bought cattle, they bought all the things that they needed that they couldn't produce themselves. Okay, very few people on the prairie made nails. Okay, very few people on the prairie used a stone hoe that they made themselves. Jim Bridger didn't build his traps. Alright? He bought them from somebody. We need each other. If society breaks down, commerce will be reestablished. It might take it a while for that to happen, and have to be a lot of people die off before that can happen. But it will happen. Commerce will be reestablished. So don't think for a minute that we might have a major thing. Let me tell you, if we have a nuclear war, I am a physicist. That's what I did before I retired. I know about nuclear reactions. I know about fallout. I know about electromagnetic pulses that everybody's afraid of. Let me tell you, if there's an EMP big enough to cause your electronics to fail, you're at the heart of a nuclear war. It don't matter. Okay? If we have a nuclear war today, I hope it drops on my head. It'll be a minute of flash and burn and gone. Okay? It'll be 30 seconds of, gone. Alright? You don't want to live through it. Just telling you, just saying. We live about 9 miles from the Richmond Depot, which is an Army storage facilities for weapons, and it was a chemical storage facility, but they said they've got rid of all the chemicals now. They're just doing cleanup. Because some of the chemicals had leaked, and so they're cleaning the soil and different things. So there's no thing, and I'm not telling any secrets. They advertise on the radio something called CSEP. CSEP, the Chemical Spill Emergency Protocol, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the thing is. They advertise it on the radio every day or two about it. So we get to go first. I'm not worried about it as far as nuclear stuff goes. And thank God. I hope none of our leaders get dumb enough to think that they can save the planet some way by nuclear means. It bothers me. Okay? Anyhow, a homesteader has to plan for the future. Well, if you're a doomsday prepper, you're not planning for the future, you're planning for there not to be a future. So you're storing 25 years worth of food that nobody would eat, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's going to be tough when those people find out they can't eat what they've got. And they'll become dangerous because they've hoarded up tons and tons of guns and different munitions, and it's unbelievable what some of them have. So be on your guard. If something happens, those folks are going to be your danger, not necessarily your neighbor. You don't need to be shooting at your neighbor over a tater. You need to share. You need them. They need you and you need them. Okay? Establish a group of people that you can depend on. Homesteaders have been doing that for years. We call it barter. Okay? That's the difference between homesteaders and lone wolf preppers. Barter. And we expect there to be a future. So we save seeds. We plant our garden. We try and live as sustainable as possible. But we know that we're going to have other people. Okay? So that's the difference. Can homesteaders be doomsday preppers? Absolutely not. Can't be. Because a doomsday prepper expects the world to end. A homestead prepper is just prepared for a power outage, unemployment. Most people who have a farm, the USDA says that 96.8% of farms have off-farm income. Okay? So us folks who live this agrarian lifestyle, we have off-farm income. Me, it's a retirement income. I'm retired. I have a retirement income, and then we grow most of our food. Crystal and I grow a lot of our food. I want to get to where I grow more of our food in a way of meat and stuff. It's just taking time, and I'm not in good health. So, yeah, you just do the best you can for as long as you can. So don't fall down the rabbit hole of these things they show you on TV. They're dramatized and they're sensationalized to get you to click on it or view it or whatever. View all prepping content as entertainment. Let me say that again. View all prepping content as entertainment or a sales pitch. Okay? All prepping content as entertainment or a sales pitch. Alright? As a scientist, there won't be zombies. Okay? And I know you say, well, the government prepares for a zombie thing. Well, when they say zombies, what they're talking about is infected individuals who might be carrying a disease that would be fatal to lots and lots and lots of people. Okay? That's one zombie, and they're walking around trying to get help, or driving around or whatever, and they're trying to get help, and they're desperate. Those are zombies. Okay? They're going to die, but they want help, and they're trying to survive because desperate people get desperate. So that's what they're practicing for. Okay? When they say zombie apocalypse, that's what they're practicing for. They're not practicing for Walking Dead zombies. Okay? Or World War Z. Alright? Those are sensationalized movies. Those can't happen. Okay? Nobody that's not producing ATP can get up and walk around. It's chemically impossible. Now, if you like this stuff, this homestead, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homestead stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell up here when you come to the channel, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing.